Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And welcome to another edition of the State of the Saints podcast live, where we focused on the New Orleans Saints. And just like on yesterday, the topic of conversation will be about Alvin Kamara and how some of us in the Who That Nation, well, we owe Alvin Kamara an apology. And I'll tell you why we owe Alvin Kamara an apology. But first off, I want to say thank you for everybody that checked out the live on yesterday. Thank you for everybody that donated to the State of the Saints podcast and also gave some very good comments and also some really great questions, man. Thank you all so much. And hopefully, we have the same type of show on today. I want to talk about Alvin Kamara because there was a very interesting article that came out, and it talked about Alvin Kamara, and it came from running back coach Joel Thomas. And Joel Thomas talked about Alvin Kamara on last season, and I thought that this was really important because although Alvin Kamara's numbers were virtually the same as they have been for the last couple seasons, people really gave Alvin Kamara a lot of criticism, including myself. I'm not going to eliminate myself. I gave him some criticism, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But Joel Thomas, the running back of the New Orleans Saints, and I'm going to read this article to you, and then we're going to talk about it. Joel Thomas, Saints running back coach, had this to say in regards to Alvin Kamara's health in 2019. I know this, he said. He wasn't 100%, the entire season. Kamara dealt with numerous injuries last season, and despite missing 2 regular season games, he still ranked 15th in the NFL in total yards from scrimmage with 1,330. Rather it was a back, a knee, an ankle, whatever, he just battled through it the best way that he could. And I know at times, people took it as something else. But bottom line, his 75% might be someone else's 100%, and that's why he was out there still trying to go and play and put his best foot forward. That comes from running backs coach Joel Thomas. So I'm about to just go ahead and start it off, and I'm going to say I apologize to Alvin Kamara. And the reason why I'm apologizing to Alvin Kamara is because I actually believe this article. I believe that Alvin Kamara was not 100% throughout the entire season. I will start it off. I will apologize for saying that Alvin Kamara left a lot to be desired. I apologize for bringing up that Tennessee Titan game where he gave himself up. I apologize in the other game where I feel like he could have turned upfield and he did not. I think it was in a wild card game. I feel that Alvin Kamara was 75% last season. I believe what Joe Thomas says because if you look at Alvin Kamara in that week 1 game against the Houston Texans, you had to believe that the New Orleans Saints made the best decision in the world by allowing Mark Ingram to go and have Alvin Kamara as the starting running back and Latavius Murray. Because we seen Latavius Murray break off like a 27 or 30-yard touchdown, and we definitely seen what Alvin Kamara was doing out there against the Houston Texans and again out there against the Seattle Seahawks. And then all of a sudden they was talking about his knee was jacked up and he was not the same. So I am going to say I believe what Joe Thomas is saying, so I'm going to apologize to Alvin Kamara. And now I want to talk to all those people out there that's talking about trading Alvin Kamara. Now, this never came out of my mouth. I never, ever thought that the Saints need to even consider trading Alvin Kamara. And I will go on record to say, if you feel like Alvin Kamara needs to be traded, you are an absolute fool. I will say that. I will go on record. And y'all know I don't roll like that. So anybody that thinks Alvin Kamara doesn't deserve to be a New Orleans Saint for the foreseeable future, I must say that you have to be out of your ever-loving mind, okay? Because I'm going to go ahead and bring you all back to the time where the Saints had a young scat back by the name of Darren Sproles. Darren Sproles was running all over the place, Darren Sproles slowly but surely became one of the biggest fan favorites in New Orleans Saints history, and all of us were really ticked off when Darren Sproles ended up leaving and going to the Philadelphia Eagles. Everybody in the Who Dat Nation felt like the Saints should have brought Darren Sproles back. When Darren Sproles was gone, there was a huge void missing in the New Orleans Saints organization. You had guys out there that didn't have remotely the skills that Darren Sproles possessed. We were talking and we were yelling from the rooftops, oh my God, the Saints need to get a guy that can catch out of the backfield. Oh, the Saints need to get somebody that can run between the tackles and catch out of backfield. Oh, the screen game ain't been the same since Darren Sproles and Pierre Thomas. Now, all of a sudden, in 2017, a young third-round pick out of Tennessee dropped into the laps of the New Orleans Saints and took the league by storm. And now, you know what I'm saying, we were singing his praises the rookie season. Oh, man, Kamara, he the truth. We was rocking a gold grill similar to him. We were talking about how great it was to finally have a guy that can run between the tackles and catch out the backfield, probably even better than Darren Sproles. And now the guy has one season that we don't like. Now all of a sudden I'm getting emails and inboxes, people saying, man, we need to get rid of Alvin Kamara. Man, I don't think he deserved that type of money. That is how some of you New Orleans Saints fans are quick to change up on a guy. The impatience of the Who Dat Nation sometimes is baffling to me. And the way that we think from year to year and act as if we don't see the comments that you drop down in social media over the years is absolutely hysterical. Because I have watched people criticize players, and those players have bounced back years. And just because you erase it off your timeline don't mean that we ain't see it. You know, like when a celebrity end up, doing something on social media, like a tweet, and then they erase it, and they think just because it got erased mean that we didn't snapshot it. We got the receipts. So all I'm saying to all you people out there that's talking about Alvin Kamara and saying that he needs to be traded, you are some fools. Alvin Kamara is a really good running back. Alvin Kamara can be the answer to the New Orleans Saints running back issues. Him along with Latavius Murray are two guys that I feel like the Saints can really rebuild their running game on. You have Latavius Murray, a big physical guy that can run between the tackles. Now, I understand that some of you probably didn't see that last season, but it wasn't his fault. It wasn't his fault that Sean Payton didn't want to call his number, because we seen those games where Latavius Murray was in 159 total yards from scrimmage. I have said this ad nauseum on this show. 159 yards from scrimmage. That tells me right there that that's a pretty damn productive running back. So you combine him with a healthy Alvin Kamara, you have yourself a future with the New Orleans Saints. And I know some of you probably want to see Drew Brees play forever. You probably think that Drew Brees is going to play until he's 60 years old. But contrary to popular belief, his career is slowly starting to wrap up. And regardless to if the Saints decide to go with Taysom Hill or an interception-prone quarterback in Jameis Winston, they are going to have to run the football, because they are not going to come in with 15 years of offensive experience in a Sean Payton system. So in order for them to develop, they are going to have to run the football. So my question to any one of you out there, who do you feel is better than Alvin Kamara, a guy that can run between the tackles, throughout his career averaging 5 yards a carry, and even at 75%, according to Joe Thomas and according to T.J. Jones right here, the guy still was ranked 15th in the National Football League. He still caught 88 catches and still had the same amount of yards he had over the last 3 seasons of his career. So I'm telling people, you need to chill out. And I am starting off, like I said, with the apology train. And for all those out there that's talking about trading Alvin Kamara or talking about Alvin Kamara is not the answer, feel free to apologize down below, because if you think that Alvin Kamara needs to leave the New Orleans Saints, you are out of your mind. You are crazy. You are insane. Go back and watch some of the dark years leading up to Alvin Kamara playing for the New Orleans Saints. Watch the production or lack thereof in the screen game, in the passing game when it came to running backs. Please go back and take a look at these things, because I understand we live in a microwave world when things just popping up and happening, and all of a sudden we get lost in the shuffle of all of the great things and some of the bad things that happen, and we only focus on in the now. But stop focusing on the now and go back and look at the production over the last 3 years before you start talking about trading a guy that has so much promise. So much promise. That's all I'm saying. What this article is telling me right now is we heard this a couple months back. We've seen an article, but for somebody that interacts with Alvin Kamara each and every day, in the film room with him on weekdays, watching him, helping him train, helping him get field vision, helping him catch out of the backfield, giving him different techniques, I am going to take the word of that guy. Because even though we love Alvin Kamara and we follow him on social media, I'm going to say Joe Thomas knows a little bit more about Alvin Kamara than me. So, bro, we had Tavares Cadet out there catching passes out of the backfield. Yeah, we had Tavares Cadet, but Tavares Cadet was not better than Alvin Kamara. He is not better than Alvin Kamara. Tavares Cadet could not stay healthy on the field. Tavares Cadet did not have the explosiveness, the break and tackle ability, or even the hands of an Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara catches passes like a wide receiver. Let me take you all back to the divisional round of the playoffs, okay? Let me, you know what I'm saying? Let me take you back to the divisional round of the playoffs when the game was on the line. Before the Minneapolis Miracle, when we thought that the Saints were going to head on to Philadelphia. Did you not see that pass, the fade route to the back of the end zone, Drew Brees to Alvin Kamara? There are some wide receivers that wouldn't catch that pass. There are some wide receivers that wouldn't catch that pass. And also the point about Tavares Cadet, and let me get a person the credit that said this. I'm not saying that you disagree with me, but I'm just saying he's not on the level. And there was a little bit of a drop off when Tavares Cadet was hurt, and they had that moment where Marcus Murphy was in the lineup and he was fumbling all over the place. The Saints were trying to find somebody that could catch the ball out of the backfield when Tavares Cadet was not healthy. So that's the point that I was trying to make with that. I'm not saying that Tavares Cadet didn't do a good job. I actually like Tavares Cadet, cool dude. But at the same time, this type of production we have never seen before in a Saints uniform. I'm just saying, in a Saints uniform, we have never seen this type of production of a guy that can actually run between the tackles and catch out of backfield. You got to go to Pierre Thomas when it comes to that, who I feel like is the greatest screen runner I ever seen in my entire life. Pierre Thomas, he the king of the screen. Okay, when Pierre Thomas catches the ball, man, it's rather he gonna score or he gonna get a big gain. And I give Mark Ingram some credit towards the later parts of his Saints career. He was catching the ball and he was really good with the screen as well. But Tavares Cadet, I'm not gonna just try to disrespect him or anything like that. But this type of production, folks, this is some really good production right here, man. You're not gonna find this type of production everywhere. And I want Who That Nation to understand that, man. I want y'all to understand you're not gonna find this type of production everywhere. That's just like when people was talking about, man, we're going to be all right, when it comes to Darren Sproles when he left. I knew there was going to be a drop-off because Darren Sproles is special. Darren Sproles was special in San Diego. I don't know if y'all remember or watched some of the San Diego Charger games. I remember when I've been watching Darren Sproles since he was at Kansas State. When at the end of the State of the Saints podcast today, this is what I need you to do. I got some homework for the Who That Nation. I want you to go and watch the San Diego Chargers against the Jacksonville Jaguars and watch Darren Sproles. It was a playoff game, and watch Darren Sproles. Then I want you to go to the Big 12 championship game when a underdog Kansas State Wildcats team took on the Oklahoma Sooners, and in Oklahoma, all they had to do was beat Kansas State, and they'll be in a national championship game. And go watch a young Darren Sproles take over that game. That's all I'm saying. And go watch how special this guy is. So, for people that was like, man, we're going to be all right after Darren Sproles, I knew we weren't going to be okay. I knew it. I said, man, this type of production don't grow on trees. And it took about 4.5 to 5 years for Alvin Kamara to come through and bring his production with him, and for the Saints to really be back to having that top-notch screen game, running back that can catch up out of the backfield. So, man, enjoy this, man. I get it. I get it, man. We be trying to look for chinks in the armor, but I feel like we give up on players too fast in a Who Dat Nation. Man, I'm telling you, man, like we give up too fast on players, man. A guy gets hurt. A guy may not have double-digit sacks coming up out the bat. You know what I'm saying? We just completely negate the production or some of the other quality that they may possess at that time. We completely eliminate that, and we just focus on the explosiveness, the big-time plays, the big streak yards down the field, making people miss, making people look silly like Barry Sanders on a Monday Night Football game. You know what I'm saying? That is what we pay attention to. But sometimes the little small things that we don't pay attention to can grow into something much bigger. That is why I tell people all the time, like, be patient with people like Davenport. A guy that can set the edge like that, a guy that's that elusive and physical and being able to maneuver, it's only a matter of time before he gets better. I mean, you look at people, for another example, like Marcus Williams, you know what I'm saying? Like, he has ball hawk type skills, something that the Saints lacked for a very long time in the secondary. This guy can catch the ball. A couple things, you know what I'm saying, he needs to work on, but he's still young and he still can develop. We have to sometimes forget about some of the moments that automatically just creates this image in our mind like these guys aren't it. And I feel like Alvin Kamara last season, people are feeling like he ain't it. But what about the last 2 seasons, the first 2 seasons of his career? And like I say, even his third season, his numbers didn't drop off. It was equivalent to how it was the last 2 seasons, which is pretty doggone good. Be that as it may, he was 75% and he missed some games. So I want people to pay attention to that. But I'm about to open up the floor to the Who Dat Nation, see what you all have to say. Shouts out to the Who Dat Nation. Thank you very much, Tyrell. Jerry Poor is here. Dwayne, what's going on? Boom Shakalaka, he's there. Let me see. My boy Dwayne says, I sent you a message via Instagram. Did you get it? Yes, Dwayne, and I did get it, and that is one of the reasons why I'm actually having this conversation right now, so y'all can thank Dwayne, you know what I'm saying, for sending the inbox on that. And it was someone else. I apologize. I can't remember who it was. No, it was Bobby too. Bobby Cross also sent me the same article. So y'all the reason why I'm talking about this stuff right now. Y'all the reason why I'm having this conversation. So y'all can thank Dwayne and Bobby for sending me the articles about this particular subject. So that's the reason we're discussing it today. Tyrell says, Kamara is special. You don't get rid of him. I still think it was a mistake the Saints let Sproles go, but Kamara is a souped-up Sproles. He absolutely is a souped-up Sproles, and I appreciate you, Tyrell, for saying that. And finally, we got somebody up in here, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people in the Who Dat Nation, I'm not just going to say Tyrell, but somebody really breaking it down, letting people know that this dude is really, really special, man. Alvin Kamara is special. And I think a lot of people need to recognize that before they start talking about money, before they start talking about lack of production, before they start talking about any of those things like trades. You might want to check yourself and realize that you're just being a prisoner of the moment. Pay that man. This comes from Who Dat Scanned That. It says, pay that man. The way he can run routes and catch the ball, he could be first, if not a number 2 receiver. Not to mention the way he can tote the rock inside and outside the tackles. He is a beast. That is the absolute truth. The guy actually works out after he's finished working out with the running backs. He goes and work with the wide receivers. He spends time with Michael Thomas and runs routes with him. So that tells you everything that you need to know about Alvin Kamara. Not only is he committed to the running game, he's committed to the passing game too. And he's always trying to find ways to try to become better, as a player. So, man, shouts out to him. I don't understand what people tripping about or even talking about why this dude, you know what I'm saying, need to be traded. Wait, I'm tripping. I read the title wrong. Let's see. Let's go get him. Kansas State. Sproles' wife was part of the reason he left. I knew too. Well, let me address this. Let me address this. Scooby Doo too. Let me address this about the whole Darren Sproles' wife situation. Now, I can understand how she felt about Darren Sproles and the Saints organization. The fact that the New Orleans Saints, because Darren Sproles had a few injuries, they just kind of left him on the shelf, man, and left him for dead. I mean, I can understand as a person, a person that she probably loves and sees and know what he actually brought to the table. I can understand her frustrations, okay? The Saints, I ain't gonna lie to you, they could have treated Darren Sproles much better on his way up out of the door. They did not treat Darren Sproles with the respect I feel like he deserved. I think they end up, I don't know if they traded him for a 5th round pick or something like that, but it was some of that nature. But they really treated Darren Sproles really awfully on his way out of the door. So I'm not going to be mad at his wife for being upset at the way that the Saints organization treated Darren Sproles on his way out. But I must say this, Darren Sproles needs to have the conversation with his wife and help her understand that it is a business. And I'm not just saying that because she's a woman, and I know that may sound like I'm saying stay in a woman's place, but that is not where I'm going with that. I'm just saying rather it was a father, a brother, a uncle, it don't matter. It can be a woman or a man, okay? You cannot get into the business of these players, okay? Because they understand that you can be out here having loads of production. But that does not mean that a team has to be committed to you. And that definitely does not mean the team is not going to do what's in the best interest of the team. Okay, so I understand she was emotional. I understand that she probably understood what her husband brought to the table. But at the same time, this is a business, okay? And the Saints are going to look out for the Saints. The Saints are going to look out for them. Now, you can make an argument to say that a lot of the things that the Saints and the decisions that the Saints made, rather, had a lot to do with the fact, I hate to say it, but it had a lot to do with Drew Brees and his contract. So a lot of these guys ended up leaving the New Orleans Saints. They ended up leaving the New Orleans Saints guys that still had something in the tank, like Carl Nicks and Jermaine Bushride. These guys had to end up leaving the New Orleans Saints because of good old number 9. We have to make sure we pay him. Now, I'm not saying that Darren Sproles fell into that category, but it's very interesting to see and to know that this was around the time when the Saints had to pay Drew Brees once again. So I'm just gonna put that out there. Y'all just call it for what it is. I'm just the messenger, in the words of Life Jennings. I'm just the messenger. Dog, we keeping Alvin Kamara. Yeah, young Nola. I don't think nobody. I hope nobody really thinks that we're gonna get rid of Darren Sproles. Alvin Kamara. I hope not. Sean Payton is not going to let Alvin Kamara go. He knows Alvin Kamara's skill level. For the people who was wondering, he might leave. Alvin not going anywhere. Alvin is not going anywhere. Anytime a coach comes out here and he compares him to somebody like Marshall Faulk, I mean, unless you're Jim Mora, you don't get rid of people with the skill set of a Marshall Faulk. You've seen what he did out there, with Dick Vermeil, and you've seen what he did out there with, Mike Martz, with the St. Louis Rams. So you're not going to get rid of a guy with that type of skill set. Alvin Kamara, to me, he's a little bit of a better pass catcher than Marshall Faulk was, and that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot. So I don't think that you want to get rid of a guy that you're comparing to a Hall of Famer. That wouldn't be very smart. Hopefully the Saints will utilize their run game better next season. That's where Kamara does most of his damage. He's a game changer. Tyrell, look, we talk about this all the time. My brother on this show, Iceman T, I haven't seen him come on the live yet, but we are card carrying members of the Run the Damn Football Committee. Okay, I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm the president, but I'm gonna tell you something. You know what I'm saying? I'm a chairperson. You know what I'm saying? I'm a shareholder in the Run the Damn Ball Committee. You know what I'm saying? I'm investing stock in it right now. You know what I'm saying? If it was on Wall Street, you know what I'm saying, I would be out here having about 1 million shares in the Run the Damn Ball stock. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people out there probably feel the same way that I do. The Saints need to run the damn football. It's been a long time coming. I don't understand it. I don't know why they're not committed to the run. I don't get why they just are not patient enough to allow the running game to develop inside of games. I don't understand why they don't understand by running the football creates time of possession. I do not know. All I know is this. Latavius Murray, Alvin Kamara, as a collective group, those guys can really do some damage. Latavius Murray is 6'2", 225 pounds. Okay, 6'2". Okay, you get this guy the ball, he lean forward them 3 yards. Okay, so this man can average 3 yards just leaning forward. You have somebody like Alvin Kamara who can run between the tackles throughout his career. Once again, averages 5 yards a carry. Does anybody want to know what's the average of a good running back? 5 yards a carry. If you're averaging 5 yards a carry, that means you're doing pretty damn good. Okay, that means that you're doing something really, really correctly. Okay, so the fact that he does not want to run the football with these guys is beyond me. I mean, I'm just at a loss. I don't know what it is. I don't know why he just wants to throw the football all over the place. I don't understand why. I just don't understand why he just does not commit to the running game. But hopefully they commit to the running game this season. Okay, hopefully they do this. Hopefully they learn from all of these different teams out here that have went 14-2 and have went deep into the playoffs and had completely destroyed a team in the NFC Championship game. That running the football matters. It matters. And nobody cares that the other team knows that you're going to run the football. The Baltimore Ravens ran the football. Did not care that teams knew that they were going to run the football. They became 14-2. The Tennessee Titans didn't care that everybody in the whole stadium knew Derrick Henry is going to run the football. They did not care. They ran that big dude all the way to the AFC Championship game and did not care. And also the San Francisco 49ers, who completely took the manhood of the Green Bay Packers in front of the whole entire nation. I think Jimmy Garoppolo only threw the ball 10 times in the entire game, looking like 1962 out there. I thought Bart Starr was the quarterback, but they did not care. And if the Saints just think that teams care, they do not, okay? The team can care all day and night. If you cannot stop the run, who cares? It is my guys against their guys. I drafted these guys. These guys are all pros. These guys are some of the highest rated offensive linemen in all of football, and they pass the ball. I want people to understand this. It is much harder at pass protection as it is at run protection. And collectively, these guys have been ranked as one of the top offensive lines in football. So just imagine what kind of offensive line they would be if they actually ran the football. Anybody that played offensive line that's in the chat right now, I know we probably have some hog mollies in there. You know, you rather run block and knock a guy on his you know what than to sit up there and try to pass protect. Now, I mean, it's just the truth. Any offensive lineman will tell you they rather run block than pass block. Alvin Kamara is a once Bama running back that they don't recruit bums. Enough said. Hey, TJ, did you get the screenshot I sent you on Instagram regarding injuries? Yup, King Arthur, I did see that, man. You was one of 3 people. And that's, like I said, that's one of the reasons why I'm talking about this today. So thank you, King Arthur. I did see it, brother. Payton was a quarterback, and he lived vicariously through Drew Brees. Right on. He would rather pass on 3rd and 1 because of that, in my opinion. I kind of agree with that. Not to mention, Alvin Kamara is a humble guy who lets his play talk. Man, Sean won't run the ball if his life depended on it. He ain't run the ball all those times. Why would we have faith that he would do it now? Because Iceman T is pretty simple. Okay? One thing I will say about Sean Payton don't mind biting off what's hot. Okay, I would, and sometimes it might be to his own demise. For example, okay, we know about the Legion of Boom. I talked about this on the last podcast, Iceman, where the Seattle Seahawks were the standard. Okay, you had Brandon Browner, even though we look at him completely differently now, but when he still had something in the tank. They had Richard Sherman, they had Cam Chancellor, and they had Earl Thomas. Earl Thomas was the guy that was the thinker in the secondary. The coaches allowed him to play any side that he wanted to and use his instincts to do things in coverage. What did the New Orleans Saints do? They went out there and they tried to replicate what the Seattle Seahawks did. That's why they went out there and paid Jarvis Bird, because they thought that he could do what Earl Thomas is doing and probably do it at a better level because he was a ball hawk. I think he had like 9 interceptions for Buffalo going into his 6-year deal with the Saints. They went go get Stanley Jean-Baptiste, who had the same upside as a Richard Sherman. The only problem is he didn't have the talent of a Richard Sherman. They went out and they got Keenan Lewis, who was also a lengthy cornerback, who did an okay job. I ain't got nothing against Keenan, but they tried to replicate what the Seattle Seahawks did. So I say that to say this. He has no problem at changing things that he sees in the NFL that will work. Okay, so I'm very interested, and I want people to understand this. And people actually question all the time, like, man, they signed Andrews Pete to a 5-year deal. Why? Because the Saints realized that Andrews Pete is a better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. That's the reason. Like, honestly, I feel like he is going to be committed to the run because of Andrews Pete. And I know people like, Andrews Pete, what do he got to do with this? Andrews Pete at Stanford, he was a left tackle. And he was a really good left tackle, okay? I know a lot of people may not know about Andrews, but I watched my fair share of Andrews Pete games at Stanford. And they ran the football a lot, okay? And so I feel like by the Saints giving him this contract and also signing Cesar Ruiz, a guy that also is good at run protection, the Saints might want to transition. And another thing, Iceman, I don't know if you heard this, but young quarterbacks' best friends is the running game. I'm going to say that again. A running back's best friend is a running game. So even though the Saints rely on Drew Brees a whole lot in the passing game, and it probably has a lot to do with the fact that Drew Brees has been with the Saints for the past 15 years, and him and Sean Payton are like joined at the hip. And honestly, let's just be real, man. A person who you're going to depend on the most is a guy that has been in the war with you longer. So I feel like that's the reason why Sean Payton relies on Drew Brees as much as he does. But this is the clincher, and this is the issue that we have to understand, and this is something that needs to be addressed. When Taysom Hill takes over, or when Jameis Winston takes over, they're not going to have that 15 years of that offensive playbook like Drew Brees has. So you're going to have to balance, just like they did with Teddy Bridgewater. Come follow me now. Teddy Bridgewater, first year in 2 years starting. Okay, first year in like 2 years actually starting in an NFL game. What did the Saints do? They ran the football. That's the reason why we talked about Latavius Murray averaging 159 yards from scrimmage. That's the reason why when he started in a Seattle Seahawks game, we saw Alvin Kamara running roughshod. The Saints committed to the run. Okay, so that is why I say you need to have a level of optimism, Iceman T, because if you notice when Teddy was in the game, the Saints ran the football more than they did when Drew Brees was in the game, because when Drew Brees came back and they played the Arizona Cardinals, notice they were throwing the football a whole lot more. So I feel like you're going to see that transition once Drew Brees leaves. That's the reason why they end up signing Andrews P. That's the reason why they end up getting Cesar Ruiz. So that is why I say be optimistic on that, because you cannot just throw the football all over the place like Drew Brees is there if Drew Brees ain't there. And you definitely can't run certain plays, because that quarterback that not Drew Brees probably won't know what you're talking about. Probably not going to be able to see the field or deliver the ball with certain accuracy the way that Drew Brees did. So that's the reason why I feel like you need to be a little bit more optimistic about the running game, Iceman T, because you've been talking about it for a long time on your podcast, on your YouTube channel, about Drew Brees not being there anymore. Well, I mean, it's coming. It's coming to pass. It is coming to pass. Drew Brees is not going to be a New Orleans Saint forever. 2-3 years tops is what Drew Brees is going to be, and you're going to have to count on the offensive line. And you're also going to have to count on the running game to be able to compensate for the lack of accuracy or the lack of knowledge the new quarterback is going to have in a system that is ran by Sean Payton. So that's why I feel like you have to be optimistic. That's the reason why I'm optimistic. Did you know he had a back injury, TJ? I had no clue. Just thought it was an ankle and knee injury. I didn't know about the back injury either, but once again, that's why I'm apologetic to Alvin Kamara, because these guys go through so much as players that we don't know. I think Shannon Sharp said it best, that when guys are out there, the only thing we see is a number and a last name. So we feel like if they're on the field, they need to do what they always do. So the fact that he was out there playing hurt and he was out there playing for the guy that was next to him, I think it speaks volume of the character of Alvin Kamara. Just by Joel Thomas coming out with this article about Alvin Kamara made me respect him even more. So that's the way I feel about it. Man, that's why I think Drew needs to go. Him being here gives Sean an excuse not to run the ball. Say what you want. This team played better as a complete unit with Teddy. I will agree with that. I'm not going to disagree with you on that one. But the thing about it, Iceman, this is the thing. This is so crazy. You ever had a job and you have the boss, the store, the big boss, a general manager, and then you got the assistant. And the assistant manager may be cool as I don't know what. So when the big boss leaves, you have a bunch of guys, that were just out there, like they just doing whatever, they doing their job or whatever like that, but they kind of lackadaisical. And then when you got the big boss that is out there, all of a sudden, you straightening up, you tight, But in this particular matter, the assistant manager is, like is in the role of the store manager, for example. Because you have guys that are out there, they had to be on their P's and Q's, okay? They had to be on point, because they had to do their job. They couldn't count on that one dude. They couldn't count on that one dude that could deliver them out of a situation. So if you have a guy that, I don't know, kind of played it, kind of played it halfway, you can't fake it to make it now, because the guy that's in right now don't know what the hell you're doing. So you definitely got to run that route with precision. You definitely got to run that route on point. You definitely got to be there on time versus a quarterback that has been there, that can lead you, that can get the ball where it needs to be, that can put you in a position. I've seen on several occasions where a guy, audibles out and he's in the wrong place, and Drew Brees like, go back over there, go back over there. You don't have that luxury with somebody like Teddy Bridgewater. You don't have that issue. You don't have that luxury, because Teddy may not know about the audible. He may not know about telling you to go right here because the protection is coming this way, and if you're not right here, they're gonna take my head off. Okay? He may not be able to read the blitz the way that Drew Brees does. So guys had to straighten up and they had to fly right. Okay, so that's the reason I feel like they played much better, because when he came back, you can argue and say They kind of took a step back because the leader was here. The guy that got us here, he is back, so we ain't got much to worry about. We did enough. We right the ship, so we can just go back to, you know, falling in line and you know, whatever. So I feel like, will the team be better when Drew Brees is gone? To a certain extent, but I can also say that they could suffer because of it too, because, you know, Drew Brees is like an offensive coordinator on the field. And I think sometimes, like, us as fans, we don't understand that sometimes. We don't understand, like, how good guys become when they become, like, from rookie to star to superstar to legend, okay? So I don't think we understand that sometimes because we're so focused on what that guy used to be and what they aren't anymore. We focus on that, but we don't focus on the little small things where we're talking about protection. And when we're talking about moving guys from left to right, and when guys are out of position and throwing a guy open versus throwing a guy the ball when he is wide open. So having Drew Brees on the field is a plus, but it also be a minus. So I kind of agree with what you're saying, Iceman, but I just feel like they kind of stepped the game up because Drew Brees wasn't there. Drew's insane ability to execute Payton offense gives coach to no choice sometimes but to throw. That's true. Keen Arthur from Kamara pulling pickup trucks down the street with weighs on his back. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that could mess up your back too. Alvin Kamara needs to stay out the damn strip club. I know he been in them Atlanta strip clubs. Don't ask me how. I don't care where he go. Look, you know what I'm saying? He can go to the moon, all I care, as long as he has some production on the field. I don't care about what a guy does in his spare time. You know, as long as he ain't like committing crimes, you know what I'm saying, out here abusing women and, you know what I'm saying, out here just, you know, abusing his body. I have absolutely no problem with that. I ain't got no problem with that. I'm just about production. I don't care what they do. As good as we all know Kamara is, we need to play more of the ball control offense by feeding Murray. That guy is a clock killer on our offense. Inevitable expertise. I'm going to tell you this. I agree with what you're saying, but I don't just look. I don't feel like teams need to focus on one particular player. They do not need to focus on one particular running back. What happened to the Thunder and Lightning days? Okay, look, not only do you need thunder and lightning, man, you need wind. You know what I'm saying? You need water. You know what I'm saying? Look, you need the planet tears out here. Some of y'all probably know what I'm talking about if you watch Captain Planet. You need earth, wind, and fire, lightning and thunder. I feel like running a football is key. You see teams like Baltimore. You see teams like San Francisco. You see teams like Tennessee. These guys using 2-3 running backs at a time. What happened to them days? I understand Latavius Murray is a beast, but why not use Dwayne Washington too? You telling me Dwayne Washington can't run up the middle? You're telling me Dwayne Washington can't run a halfback stretch? You telling me that he can't run a delay, a draw, catch out of backfield? Are you kidding me? You know, like, use all three of these guys. Control the time of possession. Use the big guys up front. That is what you need to do. Balance is key. And I do not get why. If you have studs, if you got guys that can run the football, and then look, I understand about carries and reps and preheated running backs. I talk about it all the time. But I also believe in you tiring out a defensive line. If you jamming every single time, you know what I'm saying, 12, 20, 25 times a game, you are going to tire out the defense, and around the fourth quarter, these guys aren't going to want to tackle you anymore. Eventually, you are going to get a big run. Look at New York. Okay, let's look out there in New York with Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley isn't the guy that just basically just run for 200 yards a game. He runs the football and he, you know what I'm saying, he tires out the defense and boom, a 76-yard touchdown. Boom, a 80-yard touchdown. You have to be patient with the running game. Get lightning and thunder, wind, rain, and water, or whatever you want to call it. Get these running backs. Get yourself a stable. Allow these guys to run the football. We have seen this work all year long for years. The running game has been key. The fact of the matter is this: the Saints have been winning games because of offensive knowledge and skills and trick plays and Drew Brees throwing the ball down the field. But when it's time for the playoffs, when teams are really dialed in, when guys are really paying attention to the PowerPoint presentations during playoff time, it is time to run the football. It is mano a mano. It is man to man. It is my best versus your best. It is stop me or be stopped. Sean Payton just continuously gets in his own way by going out here still running the same regular season offense as if teams are not going to be able to adjust. You have those defensive players undivided attention, and they watch weeks and weeks of games that when teams have stopped you, even when you win those games, they pay attention to that. Well, man, they won the game, but they only scored 17 points this week. What did this team do to stop and stall the offense? They watch every single thing that you do. And it's just amazing to me why the Saints have not learned that by running the football, that is what slows down the defense, and that is what wins you games. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm just at a loss for words here. I'm just at a loss of how you just can't figure that out. Shame on them if they don't run a football. I got faith we'll win the Super Bowl. Well, I hope so, man. But you ain't winning nothing if you don't run the football, Gabriel. Gabriel, you're not. They have the running backs. I want to see what Tony Jones does. He is a beast. We got the team to get the job done. I love the Saints bringing back Malcolm Jenkins. It's like he never left. I'm glad he's one of the more influential athletes that's trying to bring change in this country. Tyrell, I got a lot of respect for Malcolm Jenkins, no doubt. Malcolm Jenkins is one of those guys, I will say, Malcolm Jenkins leaving the New Orleans Saints was the best thing that ever happened to him. I don't feel like he would end up being the player that he is, the man. I don't want to say the man that he is. I feel like that's something that's always been inside of you. Leaders are born. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't develop and grow into a leader, in my opinion. You got to have leadership qualities in order for you to be a leader. But I don't feel like he would have been the player that he is if he didn't leave the Saints. I think by him going to Philadelphia and being a part of that bloodthirsty fan base where people are just quick to try to run you out of town and boo you for every little small thing, it teaches you to have tough skin and it teaches you to be tough. And I feel like by him going to that organization for 6 years, I think he became a better player and a more physical and serious player. So by him doing some of these things outside of the football field, him along with Demario Davis and Cam Jordan, that's why I say the Saints gonna be good when Drew Brees leaves. They got a lot of good leaders up in their locker room. I hate the media is prematurely crowning the Tampa Bay Buccaneers division champs because Brady and Gronk are there. We ain't scared of them. Last time I checked, the Saints still run the South. Tyrell, look, I'm not buying that whole Tampa Bay Buccaneers gonna win the South thing. Look, I get it. Look, when you have a 6-time Super Bowl winning championship, let me say this, a Super Bowl winning quarterback rather, and he won 6 Super Bowls, I get it. MVP, beloved, all that kind of stuff there. I get why they crowning them as champions, but slow your roll, okay? Slow your roll. The Saints are just as good as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's not like the Saints have never beaten Tom Brady before. It's not like, hey, they have never beaten Rob Gronkowski before. These guys are a good 1-2 punch. I got a lot of respect for them, but I get why the media is doing it. The media is doing it because they love Tom Brady, and Tom Brady is a legend. So, and him being a topic of conversation creates ratings. You should be our coach. I don't know about that, man. I shouldn't be a coach. I don't think I should be a coach. I like what I'm doing right here. I like just giving my perspective on the game. I like doing that. I don't think I'll be a good coach. I think Sean is a victim of the regular season success. Iceman T, I say this all the time. He has one Super Bowl from being Marty Schottenheimer. People laugh at me and they get frustrated at me for saying this and they say, "Oh, TJ, you crazy, you out your mind." That is a fact. If Sean Payton did not win that Super Bowl in 2009, he would be Marty Schottenheimer, or he would be what a lot of people consider Andy Reid was before Andy Reid won the championship this past season. Sean Payton is one of the luckiest men in the history of sports. You know what I'm saying? That he was able to win a Super Bowl, but it's about what have you done for me lately. And eventually, you know what I'm saying, like if he don't change his ways, he gonna end up being on the outside looking in. And I'm not gonna say he ain't gonna find no other job. He'll bounce back. I mean, if Sean Payton lead the Saints, he'll have another job the next day. But you gotta be able to adjust. And you can't just be so stubborn to a point you're gonna say, look, this is going to work. We are going to do it this way, and you're not going to adjust. Okay, so as long as you're doing that, you're going to continue to have the same issues over and over and over and over again. Since the Super Bowl, he is 4-6 in the playoffs. Exactly. We need to start. Hold on, let me see. We need to stop running them damn double reverses. Yeah, that never worked. Hey TJ, if we established a run, it would force people in the box and Drew can feast. That's something that a lot of people aren't paying attention to as well, Tig. You know what I'm saying? Like people aren't paying attention to the fact that if you actually, get 8, 9 in the box, you know what I'm saying? All that really counts now is for your wide receivers to win their one-on-one matchups. And they'll be successful, but I just don't get it. I don't know why he doesn't do that. If you was our coach, we'll definitely win the Super Bowl. Yeah. I'll tell you what, if I was the coach, we'll be running the football a lot more. For example, a visiting player gets hurt on the field, Eagles fans boo. True statement. Yep. Yeah, man, they cold-hearted out there. Anybody that boos Santa Claus, it tells you everything you need to know. Right, I remember Philly fans booed Michael Irvin when he was stretched off the field with his neck injury. Yeah, man, they cold-blooded out there. Bro, you speaking on exactly what we should do. You know your team, bro. Man, I love the Saints. Anybody that know me, you've been following the State of Saints podcast. Shouts out to Jared Poor. Shouts out to Bobby Cross, Iceman T, Kirian. You know what I'm saying? These guys have been, Who That Nation also. They y'all already know, you know what I'm saying? I'm real about mine. I love the New Orleans Saints. I feel like I'm going to give you my opinion on the team. I don't try to sugarcoat with nobody, you know what I'm saying? I don't try to be politically correct. You know what I'm saying? I take the backlash if people don't agree with me. You know what I'm saying? I debate or, to see other people's point of view. But I've been loving this team since I can remember, man. That's all I knew. You know what I'm saying? Like, my grandmother is a huge New Orleans Saints fan. And some of you already know my grandfather is a minister. And when do Saints play most of their game on Sunday? After church, my grandmother is in a van, headed home, leaving my grandpa at the church to try to find a ride home for somebody else. As soon as the benediction hit, she was out, and I was in the van with her, man. And I can just remember, watching the Saints games, going through the motions. It was just like so addictive, man. And during the time, man, I don't know what it is, and I don't want it to be this way, but it's just something about when a team starts to lose. It just seems like everybody just be on their A game when it comes to like really channeling those emotions. And I think it's just the fact that we watched the Saints suck so many years that we have emotions from both sides. Because now you got the 15 years of prosperity versus, the several years of, misfortunes. You know what I'm saying? You can combine that now and you have yourself a perfect combination of emotions. And that's what I give, At least I try to give every time I do this podcast, man. Every time I do these videos, I just want people to understand the passion that I have for this team, man. And I don't try to sugarcoat it. I don't try to go up here and try to blow smoke up nobody behind or sell you like something that I don't feel like it's true. I say it all the time. If I'm not really into like doing these podcasts, I take a day off, man, because I want to make sure I give you all the best of me and the best analysis that I can. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get into this to become, you know what I'm saying, a big time star. I didn't get into this like to just make a plethora of money. You know what I'm saying? I did this because I love the team and I'm very passionate about what I do. And I can tell like by the comments from people in the Who That Nation that you all are just as passionate as I am. And some of you even more passionate. Let's see. Jared Poor says, for example, a visiting player gets hurt on the field, Eagles fans boo. That is absolutely right. We have 3 good running backs, no excuses. I need to talk to you, bruh. I've been calling. Gabriel, I'm gonna try to do a live. If I'm not gonna do one today, I ain't gonna tell that lie. Probably tomorrow I'll be able to go live, man, and then we can call in and I apologize. I was supposed to do it on Sunday, but I was traveling to Jacksonville, got back late. So once we go live, I'm gonna probably go like around 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central Time. Call in, man. You can. I mean, I would love to hear from you. I love to hear from you and you to give your perspective about the team. Let's see. What do you think about Malik Jackson saying he doesn't forgive Drew Brees for his comments? I'm a little worried that somebody may try to intentionally hurt Brees in a football game. Tyrell, that's a good point. First off, I just want to start off by saying, even though Drew Brees even though Drew Brees apologized, Iceman T, I blame you for that one. You got that stuck in my head now. Drew Brees, even though he apologized, some people are not going to forgive his apology. That's just what it is. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. Some people are not going to forgive him for his comments because he hurt them. But at the same time, man, there's still a level of professionalism guys got to have. And I don't think just because he's upset with him, he's going to try to hurt him. I don't see that. I can see him being extra motivated to try to try to get the best of Drew Brees, but I don't see him trying to hurt him. I don't see that, man. I would think that Malik Jackson, even though he's passionate, even though I feel like he's he's still going through the motions about what Drew Brees said, feeling like he got let down. I completely understand, how he feels, but I don't think he's going to try to intentionally hurt him. Tim, thank you very much for the $5. He says, TJ, where were you at? Where were you and what was your reaction when the Saints had the multiple lateral touchdowns to go to play to the playoffs but missed the field goal? Where was I? Probably was at my grandmother's house somewhere. I remember watching that game. I remember watching it, but I can't remember exactly where I was, but I can tell you how I felt when it happened. I was honestly, man, this was at the point, man, I was like, man, it's the Saints, Anything that could go wrong will go wrong during that time for the New Orleans Saints. I was never too high, never too low on the New Orleans Saints, ever. Okay, like at that time. I don't care if the Saints were up by 4 touchdowns. I did not believe the Saints were going to win the game until the clock hit all zeros in the fourth. That's just what it is. So I just feel like that was just classic Saints right there, breaking your heart. I'm just being honest. Hey, you know what I'm saying? It happens. But that's the way that I felt about it. I mean, the Saints really let you down and really disappointed you at that time. That sounds like me having church on Sundays when football season is underway. I got a Saints app on my phone, and it keeps me updated during service. Yeah, man. I mean, my grandmother, man, she was out the door. As soon as we do that benediction, may the grace of God and the sweet communion of the Holy Spirit rest, rule around us, by us now and forevermore. Let us all respond. Amen. Pew! She out. She gonna kill me when she sees this because she watches all my episodes, man. Shouts out to my grandmother. She gonna kill me. I love you, Grandma. I knew you watch this, Grandmama. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just gotta tell the truth. During my son's party, my wife was mad because me, my son, my mother, and my brother were watching the Saints game outside on the iPad. My Miami family finally get it. We hardcore about the Saints. Man, for real, man. Like, man, I love my grandfather and stuff like that, but my grandfather is not a huge football fan. My grandfather don't like, he'll watch it, but he don't like the whole, like, pile up after every play type thing. He felt like if he feel like, well, if they would just get the ball and they have big plays all the time, he'll love it. But he just don't like everybody just piling up on each other. He feel like that just, you know what I'm saying, like monotonous. But anyway, so when he preach, you know what I'm saying, like he gonna take his time with it. You know what I'm saying, like he gonna kill me too. But you know, so around the time, you know what I'm saying, church is all said and done, it's like around 1:30. And, you know, if you're on Central Standard Time, you know, the game started like around 12. So we'll probably be able to catch like midway through the third quarter. During this time, we had VHS for all my new people, you know, that's probably around 18, 19, looking at the state of the Saints of VHS before we had the CDs that go inside of the Blu-ray or the DVD. We had VHS. And my grandmother, you know, she used to put the time on so we can record the game for her and stuff like that. So we used to go back and rewind. And thank God we didn't have social media at this time. But we can actually go back and rewind the first quarter of the game. And we didn't have to worry about, you know, nobody. Man, Dante Stallworth, man, why you gonna miss that pass? And all of a sudden you see the reason why everybody mad. So we were able to watch the first and the second, you know what I'm saying, the first half of the game. And then, you know, of course, fast forward through the commercials and stuff like that. You know, before DVR was what it was, we was doing DVR stuff, you know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, man, that's how we used to watch the Saints games, man, on Sundays. So I used to always miss the first half of the game, you know, and that I'm sick and I ain't feeling good, that didn't work. For those that have, you know, go to family churches, you know what I'm talking about. They're going to tell you to chill out in the fellowship hall. You know, you lay your head on the table. And this wasn't during the time when everybody had a cell phone. So it was best for you not even to say that you were sick, okay? Because it's not like you're going to go and watch the Saints game or something like that. And you know they weren't going to give you the keys to the car so you can watch listen on WWL. So you might as well just go to church. And hope that your grandfather or the guest minister didn't preach that long. TJ, funny how the media ignores 11-5, 13-3, 13-3 the past 3 years in favor of the bandwagon. A thrown together Tampa team. That's because they got Tom Brady, King Arthur. And we all know that the narrative now is the Saints are, well, I hate to say it, but the Saints are one of those teams that are close but no cigars. And now they are, you know, people, the narrative now is they're a snake bit franchise. Ain't that crazy? How back in the 90s, the Saints were known as a snake bit franchise, but now if you look at today, even though they're one of the top teams in the National Football League, they're trying to make the narrative that they're a snake bit franchise. But they would never come out there and say something like the Dallas Cowboys, who only won about 3 playoff games in 25 years and haven't reached the Super Bowl in almost 26 years. They won't say that they are a snake bit franchise. Ain't that interesting? Because it seems to me like they just like talking about one team. And, you know, they like to keep the narrative about another. They like to keep the narrative about the Dallas Cowboys being a historical franchise. But they love keeping the narrative about the Saints being a snake-bitten franchise. And they couldn't wait to actually come up with that narrative. If y'all ever noticed that, in the 90s, the Saints were a snake-bit franchise. And the media used to laugh at their misfortunes and talk about, you know, saying this is the reason why we don't talk about them. And now, even though they're successful and they've been having some playoff issues, it seems like they're trying to make that narrative happen once again. Crazy. Man, I'm so tired of hearing about Brady. Even when he retires, the media will talk about him as if he's still playing. I agree with that. You ain't lying, brother. Same here. We always fall short because we forget how to run in the playoffs. Yeah, that's true, man. We do need to learn how to start running in the playoffs. I do feel like that is an issue that needs to be solved. But yeah, man, I mean, But still, I mean, the Saints are still one of the best teams in the league. And can you imagine if the Dallas Cowboys was losing playoff games the way the Saints did? They'll still be talking about, man, they're going to the Super Bowl next year. Man, I'm still optimistic. Man, they'll still be trying to make excuses for them. You know, it's crazy, man, how they try to keep these teams that no longer deserve to be in the press as much as they are relevant. And the teams that have emerged as some of the top contenders that may have a history of not being as successful, they don't want to give those guys the props. But they will so quickly put these guys and plaster them on television when they lose. Like, for example, on ESPN, they didn't really talk about the Saints. They don't talk about the Saints when they winning. They don't talk about the Saints when they hot. They don't give the Saints 3, 4, 5 different segments like they do the Cowboys. But win or lose, the Dallas Cowboys will be in that number. And they're quick to tell you something like, well, people love talking about Cowboys. People love talking about Dallas. That's because you plaster it in their faces. I mean, you can't have it both ways. We talk about the media all the time, folks, right? We talk about how the media spins things and creates narratives and makes people's minds warped with some of the things that they hear. So what's it to us to not to believe that the reason why people like hearing about the Dallas Cowboys so much is because of all these segments? It's because of all these different segments that they have. Who's to say that's not the issue? So maybe if you give some of these other teams the opportunity to actually be a part of the media, to be a part of the story on national sports media, maybe teams, maybe fans will be able to invest more into those teams. Jerry Jones is worth $5 billion. Is it because Jerry Jones is such a great businessman? Or is it just the fact that you guys are giving him such a huge platform? I mean, he's already in Dallas, one of the biggest cities in the United States. He already, you know what I'm saying, owns the Dallas Cowboys, a historical franchise. He already has a radio show. So if you combine his radio show with him being in Dallas and you all giving him extra media coverage, why wouldn't he be one of the highest paid owners in all the National Football League? Because you all made him that way. But you don't want us to believe that that's not what you're doing. That makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely no sense. Can't have it both ways, media. I'm happy for two things. First, because Brady is in the NFC South, so the Saints will get more coverage. And secondly, the Tom Brady train can finally end against the Saints this year. Tim, thank you very much for the $10. That is a very good point. Look, I'm a firm believer, and you have to play to win the game. Okay, you got to play the game. Okay, I don't care who you got on your team. I don't care if your team is souped up, draped up, dripped out. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, I don't care what you got. You have to play the game. Now, if you're playing Madden, I'll be a little concerned. Okay, I'm pretty sure when Madden 21 comes out, you simulate. Most likely, Tampa is probably going to be in the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl if you simulate the franchise mode. But we ain't playing franchise mode right here. We're not playing franchise mode. We're playing the actual game. And last time I checked, for the last 3 years, the New Orleans Saints have won the division. The Saints are the class of the NFC South. I don't care what the other team has done. I don't care who's on the other team. I don't care if they got Brady. I don't care if they got Gronk. I don't care if they got Evans. I don't care if they got Teddy B. I don't care if they got Robbie Anderson. I don't care if you do have Ty Gurley. The Saints are the class of the NFC South, and bump what they talking about. Until this team gets knocked off that pedestal, the Saints are the best team in the NFC South. I don't care who comes on here, what trolls come on the Stay the Same podcast. Whether you're a fan of another team and not a troll, you have to put respect on the name of the New Orleans Saints because they've been whooping your ass for the last 3 years and you can do nothing. Well, there's actually two things you can do about it. Nothing and like it. Sorry, that's just what it is. So no matter who they have, I don't care if it is Tom Brady, you have to put respect on the Saints' name. Straight up. I'm sorry, but the Cowboys are entertaining. NY Phenom, they are very entertaining. They are entertaining because the media makes them entertaining. Who's to say if you didn't plaster the Cleveland Browns on television? Think about this. The Cleveland freaking Browns went, like 20 games, and they didn't win one of them. Okay? But think about when Baker Mayfield came into the game after Tyrod Taylor got hurt, messed up his shoulder. Baker Mayfield comes into the game. Just so happened that game was on national television on a Thursday night. Everybody and their mama was cheering for the Cleveland Browns. People, when Baker Mayfield came into the game and the Cleveland Browns were on the last drive to get the lead in order for them to get their first win against the Jets, everybody turned their TV to that game. Okay, so who's to say that the Cleveland Browns, if you didn't plaster them on television every single week, if they didn't have countless media coverage, if you weren't talking about them over and over and over again, who's to say that they wouldn't be just as entertaining as the Dallas Cowboys? Jimmy Haslett, think about this. NY Phenom, think about this. Jimmy Haslett fires coaches, okay? He takes coaches as if he's wearing tennis shoes, okay? He puts on the tennis shoes and then take them off. He hires a coach and he fires them the very next year. Doesn't even give them the opportunity. Doesn't even give them the opportunity to develop, to learn players or nothing. Honestly. If you're out there in NY, you already know, man, I'm about to speak your language. What about Steinbrenner, right? Let's think about the late, great George Steinbrenner, right? How entertaining was George Steinbrenner when he had zero tolerance for some of those managers that was managing the Yankees? Y'all remember when he went into that press conference, he said he wants to do things his way. And if you don't like that, then you're fired. He did this at a press conference of a manager he just hired. So you telling me like Jimmy Haslett wouldn't be entertaining? He'll be just as entertaining as Jerry Jones. Man, this man fired coaches like I said, like he changed tennis shoes. So I think the media has a lot to do with that. Man. Man, I'm enjoying this show today, man. TJ, I saw a workout video of Emmanuel Sanders where he was running routes against some DBs. He was cooking dudes like crawfish at a block party. Yeah, man, Emmanuel Sanders is a really good route runner. I like him a lot. That's not a surprise. I like that analogy though. That's like crawfish at a block party. I'm scared of Gronkowski. I feel like if Buccaneer win games, it's going to be because of him, and it takes two people to get him down. He too big. Yeah, maybe if it was a couple years ago, but Gronk not the same. And just because he missed a year, that don't mean anything. Who that the Bucs are delusional and their fans will bring them back to reality 0 to 100 on Tampa. I wouldn't worry about Gronk. We dealt with better tight ends. Yeah, George Kittle is a better tight end at this time. And then they also have to play Travis Kelce this year. Ain't that crazy? The Saints got to play three of the best tight ends in football. They got to play George Kittle, they got to play Travis Kelce, and they have to play Rob Gronkowski. Man, woo, that's crazy, ain't it? Gronk gonna be injured by week 6. Fair enough. NYF now, you're making a good point. I ain't saying like he not entertaining. Jerry Jones is extremely entertaining. But like I said, man, you already know, like, you want entertainment, man, look no further than managers with big personalities. Even out there in New York, man, with the Jets, man. You remember when Rex was out there, man, how entertaining those sound bites were. I don't think it matters. I don't think it matters the team. You know what I'm saying? As long as you have like some level of entertainment, I think that it don't matter. I think you can just put any team in there. And I think people have that same type of response as they would have with the Dallas Cowboys. Don't forget about Rudolph from the Vikings. Yeah, I forgot about him, Kyle Rudolph. Rudolph isn't good anymore. He's a good red zone threat. Yeah, he's really good at the red zone. Is Godwin better than Emmanuel Sanders? That's a good question. At this stage, I would say, yeah, I think he is. I think Chris Godwin is much better than people give him credit for. Somebody said, what's this channel about? what this channel is about is focusing on the New Orleans Saints, my friend. So yeah, we talk about New Orleans Saints. We talk about the NFC South. Just anything that's related to the Saints. Topics like that, brother. So hopefully you just subscribe to the channel if you're into sports or you're into the New Orleans Saints or the NFC South in general. I have two favorite teams. One is the Saints. Two is anybody playing the Cowboys. Okay, so he said who they. So I don't know if he's a Bengals fan or he just saying who are the Saints. I don't know. So maybe a Bengals fan because I know the Bengals fan slogan is who they. So man, good luck to Joe Burrow if you're a Bengals fan. Gardner Johnson is our X factor in the secondary. He will have an All-Pro year. I hope so. I'm looking forward to big things. Speaking on Deontay Harris, who will be a two-time Pro Bowler in the second year. Yeah, Deontay Harris, I think he's going to take a step forward. I think he's going to, I don't know, I think he's going to take a step back on special teams because I don't think no team in their right mind going to be trying to kick him the ball. They're going to try to kick the ball away from him this season. I think he's going to get the respect on special teams, so he might take a step back because teams didn't really know that much about him or his tendencies last season. They didn't know what he was capable of, so I think he might take a step back on special teams because they might respect his ability this season. I mean, I would. Do you think it'll be a big issue if there's no crowd or no fans in the dome this year due to all this going on? I think it will be a big disadvantage. Look, I disagree. I disagree on that. Look, if you're a good team, you can win anywhere. Okay, I don't care if you're playing out of space. I don't care if you're playing on top of a building. I don't care if you're playing in the middle of nowhere. I don't care if you're playing in a stadium or arena with zero fans. If you're good enough, you're going to win the game. Now, I know we like to believe, and in some cases it is true, that fans, play a huge role in the outcome or more than a huge role in the outcome of games. But it is guys on the field with great talent and great abilities out there playing. So if you're good enough, if you have the talent, if you got the skill, then you should be able to win anywhere. So it shouldn't matter if you have fans in the stadium or not. TJ, I like our schedule because if we take care of business against Green Bay, overrated, Minnesota and San Francisco, there will be no doubt we will get the 1 seed. That KC game will show our true colors. Yeah, I agree with that. A lot of people feel like this should have been a Super Bowl a couple of years ago, 2018, right? If it wasn't for overtime and a controversial pass interference call, a late hit in the Kansas City game, we would have seen the Saints against the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So a lot of people feel like this should have been the matchup last year. Who got winning when Buccaneers played Chief Tom or Patrick Mahomes? Man, I got Patrick Mahomes, man. You see these players getting the virus. Yeah, I seen that. Ezekiel Elliott upset with the media and also HIPAA for releasing the fact that he had COVID-19. I'm going to say allegedly right now because I don't think it came out that he actually has it. I'm saying allegedly until he comes out and says, yeah, I did have it. Okay, so I don't know if he did or not. Don't quote me on that. Is Joe Brady going to save the Panthers like he did the Tigers? We've been quiet on him. Joe Brady, a great offensive coordinator. I'm glad he getting the opportunity, but just because you're making the Carolina Panthers, New Orleans Saints light, I'm a firm believer that the original is always going to be better than the imitation. Okay, so no disrespect to Joe Brady, but I think in the book of the 21 Laws of Power, they say the student will never be greater than a master. Now, I guess it goes to like if you believe that or not. I'm a firm believer in the 21 Laws of Power. I don't feel like the student will ever be greater than a master because the student will never know what the master knows fully. He only knows what the master is willing to give him. So I'm thinking that Carolina is going to be good this season, but not better than the Saints. The NFL has no answer for Deontay Harris. Yeah, I mean, don't kick to him. That's the answer, Dwayne. Our defense does better away anyway. Yeah, they do. TJ, nothing was controversial about the PI. It was egregious. Well, I'm just using the words of the media. To me, we all know. Okay, we all know what it is. I mean, just like some of the things that happen in this world right now. We know how to call a spade a spade. Malcolm Jenkins knows how to beat Tom Brady. I'm happy we got him. He gonna help our secondary. Yeah, he is, man. Very smart player, very intelligent guy, very socially conscious. Much respect to Malcolm Jenkins. Man, it's been a fun show, man. I really enjoyed this live. I really enjoyed spending time with you all, talking about several subjects. And I'm going to go ahead and get off here, man. Get back to work, get ready to prep for my 2 o'clock show this afternoon. But I want to say thank you all for tuning in to the live edition of the State of the Saints podcast. And for those that ask questions and I didn't get opportunity to answer, you can always inbox me or you can email me. Email me at stateofthesaints@gmail.com. Also, you can hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com. Search the State of the Saints podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channels. For those that recently subscribed, thank you so much, man. Thank y'all so much for making the channel grow. We're on our way to 4,000 subscribers, man. It's right around the corner. I think we're about 200 subscribers away from reaching 4,000. So I could have not done that without you all. Real talk, by commenting and sharing the videos. So thank you all so much. Shouts out to Iceman T. Shouts out to Kirion. Shouts out to Jerry Poor, Who That Nation, Dwayne, Tim, Josh and Jesus, and all the rest of you out there, man, that always hit me up and always motivating me. Gotta give shouts out to my boy Bobby Cross with the motivation on a spiritual level, always sending me stuff like that. So, man, thank y'all so much. Without you all, I don't think I have this much fun doing this show. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Once again, subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com. Search the State of the Saints podcast. Facebook.com, search the State of the Saints podcast. Also, check out the State of the Saints podcast audio form. You can check it out. I know a lot of people, into like working out and stuff like that, probably at the desk at work, don't want the manager to see you looking at a dude with glasses, talking about the Saints on his screen, on his payroll. So, you can check it out on audio form. It's on Anchor, anchorfm.com. Also, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast, you'll be able to check out the State of the Saints. Y'all have a good and productive morning, evening, night, whenever you're looking at this video. And like always, all I got to say is, who that?